Well, thought I was gonna have like a cool transition, but all right, we could just bust up on this saying, hey everybody, it is Yeager here, YeagerShots.com. I'm doing a couple of things real quick. You know how we do the live streams, sort of short, 30 to an hour, and I am sort of trying to prepare for my first half of the year using the Sony A7iii. I'm using it right now. I want to know if it can hold up without overheating. I've had it on as far as streaming goes. Every other thing it does fine with, but as far as streaming last time. So I took 2 memory cards out of the A7iv. I'm looking at it right now, and I am running it off of the USB power, so it would be powering the battery. It was getting really hot. It is still warm to the touch. Like I cannot grab it all kind of way. That is still going on, but there was a recent update for stability, and I was trying to see if it covered that. Like I said, I'm watching the clock behind the camera. It's been on for 20ish to 30ish minutes already, even though we just started streaming here, and I want to know if it holds up. Last time it was done within 30ish minutes. It did not even make it this far. So already seeing better improvements. 1080 60p with my CPU being the Ryzen 3600X. I don't even know if I really get a full 60 frames. OBS is telling me that OBS is telling me I'm at 60 frames. I don't really feel like it's a full 60 frames. You can let me know. How is everybody on this Friday? I just saw it was like raining, and I was like, there's no rain going on, and then the rain started coming down. So I guess the weather forecast where it shows rain over you was actually accurate this time. So I'm talking about the Canon R10, the R7, looking at things online about this, and somebody's like, well, who the hell cares on this front? I mean, what do you care? I always cared about cameras. I always cared about what Canon was up to. The competition is good for everybody. Nikon's got the Z9, and to me with the autofocus, only the Z9. I want to see that Z9 autofocus get into the cheaper cameras. Speaking of cheaper cameras, allow me to complain. Can I go full screen for a minute? Allow me to say that this term of introductory, you're going to see it with the R10 price. I've got it sitting over here in another window. Body's $979. A pet peeve of mine is calling introductory, or I should say equating introductory with introductory to photography. Introductory to a system, in this case an RF mount, or you can say full frame, Sony, mirrorless, whatever. An introductory into a system, and introductory into photography itself with your first cameras. Those distinctions really need to be clear, because I don't know if anyone's talked to people, just normal folks. Anything less than 500 is kind of the introductory to getting into photography. It's more of a serious hobby, and the degree of seriousness might vary, which is why you don't spend over $1,000 on a camera, because you don't know if this is even going to be a thing that you're really all that about. So when I'm hearing so much of this is your first introductory to this kit, this system, this thing, I just would like to hear from the media, which I include YouTubers in that, or camera companies themselves, to please make an introductory to photography distinction and an introductory to this system, this particular camera system distinction, because those are two very different things. In America, emergency over $400 can really crush families. So saying willy-nilly that, like, we throw the A7iv, I've heard it about this camera, $2,500 is your introductory price. That's your introductory one. It's like, whoa. First of all, there's older cameras. Second of all, there's just no way in the world. I can't see who in the right mind considers $2,500 just that thing to throw on there. It's like, you might like it, you might not. That is insanity, absolutely insanity to me. Canon has numbers. That Rebel line around 500 was one of their biggest sellers forever, to try to get people into photography a little bit more, into knowing the nitty gritty nuts and bolts of photography and stuff like that. Just to get off of just having the phone. But my gosh, I was watching some vlogs the other day. I was like, is it a phone or is it 6000 series Sony? So I see why that market could have shrunk a little bit. And I guess from a business standpoint, there's something to be made about, we can't compete with the phones, but boy, we will jack price up, because that $500 Rebel market's kind of going away, which definitely I don't think. I'm not looking at your financials. I'm talking specifically about Canon to see if that is the right move or not. But that whole thing about being introductory, we'll say this about this very camera right here, the R10. Let's see, what is the price of the R10? Click over here. $979. My zoom's not working, but $979 over on B&H. It's going to be the price of the R10 without a lens. $1099 with the 18 to 45. $1379 with the 18 to 150, which if I was picking one, I would want 18 to 150. I remember a long time ago, somebody had no idea that prime lenses was a thing, and they're like, why would you even use a lens that doesn't zoom? That does not make sense. You photography fool. So, you know, it's just a different mindset. Getting into these cameras, and they're saying it's just their introductory. God, please make the distinction that this is your introductory into this particular system, not photography itself. These cameras are so expensive. And you know, when you say introductory, then it gets like the stigma of something just being bad. Some people just flat out say, you beginners. This is not beginner stuff. This they really could put autofocus into the Rebel line if they wanted to, but this is not a beginner price point. Anecdotally, several people who wanted to get into photography I've spoken to in the last year, they wanted their stuff to be around 100. A point and shoot, a Nikon D80 that I've got a video about on this channel, as well as a other older APS-C Nikon that had dual car slots that I can't remember the name of. It was around the 100 mark, and when you started breaking $101, it's like, whoa, psycho, what are you trying to sell me here? I'm not trying to start YeagerShots.com, but you can go there right now and get yourself a t-shirt. These are all available. I was just talking about this photographer shirt. Somebody called it unironically photographer instead of pronouncing photographer, and made a shirt about that. So I had my friend's face inside of that too. But the R10, I saw that this camera would have the single card slot. So this is really closest to what the Rebels could have been in $979. So the Rebel as a kit, what Rebel number are we on now? Is it Rebel T8i? I was really curious to see where we got with the Rebel camera. $749 for the body only. This is generally always going to be with a kit of some sort, 18 to 55, which is a much better 10 more millimeter than the R10s. 18 to 45. 45 is a weird number. I'm not sure why they did that. The LPE17 battery, I'm not sure. Forget the battery the R10 is going to be taking. Now, honestly, I need to know exactly what someone's going to do with these cameras, or what they want to do with the cameras. Do you want to just do stills? Are you going to try to do stills in video? Or are you going to try to do stills video and stream? That is all very important, because the rolling shutter is actually better on a DSLR than the mirrorless R10 or seem like any of the Sony mirrorless, until you get up until your R6 or R5. So I shouldn't really say that with the stabilization on. These that don't even have stabilization, if you put that classic 10 to 18 millimeter log lens on, which I got way over there somewhere, and it does stabilization in the lens, the whole jittery frame thing, that the wobbly jello effect that you will see. I was trying to get into the frame to do it. I can't do it. Boom, 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 with a frame just going like that. That whole thing doesn't even really happen as much on the DSLRs as it does on the mirrorless. And, you know, every brand kind of has that to a certain extent. So I would need to know what someone wants to do with these cameras to really know if I still wouldn't recommend a DSLR for low light and things like that. To shoot how they might see a lot of their modern YouTubers shoot, I probably would steer them away from DSLR. So it really is case by case. I had a friend whose daughter is maybe 13 years old, and they are not into whatever. They don't have a favorite YouTuber they're emulating, so a point shoot is fine with them. I know some other people, their path might want to be something exactly what I'm doing right now. So, gosh, intent is gonna matter a whole lot. The R7 is what I want. Dual card slots. Can we see some features? You can't really see that. You can't really zoom in to the features. Here, let's click on it. $14.99 for the body alone. Key features: 32 megapixel APS-C, essentially 32.5. How does the point work? You can't just go ahead and be like 33? Okay, whatever. 4K 60 10-bit. I forget if there's a crop and all that. So everyone was kind of going dual card slots. It's going to just take regular SD cards instead of the CF Express Type Bs. And I completely forgot the fact that since it is a crop sensor, it's not going to be as much as a bottleneck as full frame because you're not pushing around as much data, as I understand it. I'm not going to pretend to be like I'm a sensor knowing cat. As I made a joke like last year, I never made a sensor, and so hasn't a lot of camera makers. Apple, Nikon was buying them from Sony forever, but I think they might be start making their own now. So you couldn't listen to me on sensors. But from what I understand, having a crop, the APS-C, you can push around data better, so the SD cards might not be as much of a bottleneck. And I really did not understand the power, ladies and gentlemen. I was trying to make sure I hit the right button. I really didn't understand the whole thing with sports and some animal photographers, maybe in some cases preferring APS-C and putting a full frame lens on the camera so they can get more reach. Makes perfect freaking sense to me. I was not aware of that. I'm still learning. Bird photography, be honest, not really the thing I'm that big into photo-wise. I always kind of joke like, when I'm done running behind these brides and models, I will stand in the middle of a lake in bird photography myself. Oh wait, actually Huntington Beach State Park, great place to go do some bird photography. What's kind of fun, not fun enough to really attempt to do to me though, but I get it. Whole big business. And I also was saying that when I didn't have bird eye autofocus and crazy tracking and things like that on these cameras, which is on the R10, I think. R10, R7 definitely will have some great bird tracking features on it. But boy, for $14.99 though. And let's couple that up with a lens. $18.99. Would it just make sense to try to go into the real introductory newer Sony system? So like you have like different generations, I don't know what they call it internally, generations of like autofocus and features. The A7C is kind of more on the newer autofocus system, while the A7 III would be a gen behind, but in stills it would still be fantastic. In video you would be kind of annoyed with it. But I'm just like, man, wouldn't it just make sense to just get one of these temporarily out of stock? Yeah, they had like a chip shortage problem with some of these. So in the 6000 series, I think they just start, not all the series, but some of these, A7C could have been in there, they just stopped producing, manufacturing with chip shortage issues and stuff like that over Sony. I don't think it's gonna stay. Some were saying A7C2. I don't know what the hell an A7C2 would be. I mean, it's based on A7 III. Were you going to do a smaller version of A7 IV? Really? I don't know. You don't even have features from the A7 IV making it over, like focus mapping, lens breathing compensation. Those haven't even made it to the A7S III, your video dominant camera, your A1, your A1 flagship cameras. I don't know about A7C if that's on the priority yet. Those are just software updates. But my reaction, R7, it needed to happen. The M mount, they're not officially saying they're done with the M mount cameras. I think they're kind of done with it. It was already getting next to no love and support. RFS will be this, which, I mean, I did that with the EF mount. I had an EFS camera, the T4i and the SL2 Canon. I used the full frame 85 millimeter, and I had that whole 1.5 crop factor, whatever the crop factor was. Did that forever. That makes way more sense. Have the same mount. Yes. Can go back and forth. Get a full frame on there to throw on here for wildlife. However, over 3 years of this RF mount existing, they really, Sony, also, I don't know why the transition's in there. But but Canon really could have had, it's better when I'm talking to microphones. Canon really could have had a dedicated a few more dedicated RFS lenses, I think, in my opinion. They have the 18 to 150, the 1845, the EFS or RFS lenses. The lens selection is paramount. There's an 85, I think that could be a macro, and there's a 35 full frame that you can get, and those would be two nicer starters. For the still side, the video side, the 85 can be a little bit annoying from some reviews I've seen, and I'm talking about RF full frame lenses right now. So they definitely still have a lens issue as far as more lenses for this RFS. When are they coming? I don't know. It's been over 3 years. I think they could have really launched with some more lenses, some faster lenses for this RFS system. That probably would have been a thing to do, because I mean, what can hold you up in getting into a camera system? Autofocus, talking about Panasonic, talking about Fuji, and your lens selection, talking about the expensive L-mount Alliance and things like that. Your lens selection, and when you get these third parties like Tamron and Rokinon, using Rokinon right now for some cheaper options that can in some cases be very hard to distinguish from your top of the line pro lenses. In some cases can be a bit sharper, which is why the 24-70 G Master 2 kind of needed to come along, because the third party options in that focal length are just a little lighter, in some cases somewhat sharper. Canon needs that for the RF system, so that's still a little bit of a point of contention. I know they're coming, but good gosh, I don't know when. There are more RF lenses out than I realized before coming on here and talking, so that's a good thing. So stuff's on the way. The 6000 series back ordered. The 6400 could be an alternative. Aerodynamically, I can't say it right. The Canon's gonna be a slightly, that's the Rebel. Hell, even the Rebel 2. The Canon might aerodynamically, whatever, in your hands might feel better. Can I just share everyone? Well, I'm gonna go through every window. Our Chrome window, F5. So that grip and all, unlike the R7, I think it's just gonna feel a whole lot better. I wouldn't say a whole lot better, but you got that deeper grip right there. And when you're going into like the 6000 series, I don't know how well it'll feel in your hand. Now, I'll be honest, Sony freaking shooter, the Canon for where my thumb rests, my pinky rests, not my thumb, my pinky rests, does feel slightly better on the Canon because it's just a longer grip. And my thumb, I keep saying thumb, my pinky can sometimes hang below on the Sony, or it can feel quite perfectly on the Sony. It just kind of depends on how I have my hand positioned. Obviously, that wasn't a freaking deal breaker for me. And I saw that there's a grip coming for the R7, which is $300+. I do not know why camera grips need to be over $300. That is absurdity. It's a grip. Third-party ones I've had that have rot with camera. I still have a third-party grip on my Nikon D80 from 2006. So I'm really not afraid of third-party grips as far as messing up power supply. We've got warranties on stuff too. So the 6000 series could be an option. And when it seems like the RFS is squarely aiming at the 6000 series, which is Sony's APS-C cameras, which I've never touched one of their 6000 series, not even like a demo or kiosk that was something at Best Buy. I don't think I've ever held one of the 6000 series cameras, which is kind of wild. And I just realized that sitting here chatting with all of you. That is an interesting little tidbit. I've never held one of these. Still recommend renting to get a feel on some of these. Lens rentals, I think, are owned by, or they're all kind of the same people from another rental house. Just Google rental. Lensrentals.com is where I generally go. Back to the YeagerShots site. So those are my thoughts on the R10, R7. I am excited that there is a crop sensor option I really forget exactly how I set that up to have the transition every time. I have it to cut, so it's not really necessary yet. Transition override. There we go. So now I can bounce back and forth. Easy. Gosh, OBS such cool software, but man, what a learning curve there is into this. I am about at an hour, not for streaming, only about 22 minutes on air, but for, oh no, my clock had stopped. Are we still going? Oh, okay, good. But so far, the A7 IV is holding up, which is great. That did not happen earlier in the year when I tried to stream with this. I still have a Canon SL2 to stream with. I don't always see the need for streaming with the A7 IV, but I love it. Charges the battery, sticky autofocus, which whenever I do this like first half of the year, quick comment, dislikes or likes about the A7 IV video, which this is helping me plan for that right now. I'm just gonna have to tell you, the autofocus in video, that's the real eyebrow raising whoa thing. The stills was already fine. I never had complaints with A7 III's still photography autofocus, but in the video, to have these 1.8 apertures like I have now or less, and for it to stick, and when you get your settings down, I forget exactly which one it is, for making sure that it doesn't change autofocus too fast, make sure that it's smooth and slow, so it doesn't really give it a chance to jump around too much, because I've seen some YouTubers have it just going in and out with this very same lens, the focus breathing, adjust that, and it just kind of sticks. It is insanity. It is truly, absolutely fantastic, and that's been, I heard it was good, but after using it a lot, oh my God, it's so good. So, review of that, just my thoughts on that will be coming out later on. I'm gonna go wrap this whole thing up. Make sure, as I keep saying, to swing on by YeagerShots.com. Got a link to our latest video, Extrovert Introverts, up there. Apparel, online, prints, all for sale. Here's what's going on our gram. I think I'm gonna update our Instagram here. Buddy Matthew's got a cool photo we will throw up there as well. All right, everybody, have a good weekend. I will ride the rain out. I was going to a rooftop bar tonight, and I was joking about every time I go to this bar, it's raining, and we have rain. So we'll see how long it hangs around. This is just really, really wow how that happens. I just want to go stand on a rooftop in a warm night. Okay, so stream's over. I am taking off. Let's play a little bit of music for the outro. Love everybody. Hit that like button, subscribe. Never miss a shot. From YeagerShots.com.